Why hackathons don't work. Hackathons are one of the first forms of open innovation that really captured the imagination and trust of the mainstream business world, and organisations have used them to try and solve business problems and to bring in innovative ideas ever since. So let's start with, what is a hackathon?
I think it's when a lot of inspired people get together and try to make something in as short of a time as possible.
Hackathons originally started in software development, where developers would get together over a short period of time to create a working prototype by the end of the event, typically a day or two. Since then, the concept has been taken on by many other industries as a way to get different people together to create something or solve a problem in an innovative way, often with participants competing for prizes. But we've also observed on so many occasions where hackathons simply don't function in the way organisers and participants would like.
Considering what we know about the impact of lack of sleep, bad diet, and groupthink, hackathons are the worst setting to imagine the future.
In order for a hackathon to be successful, it needs to drive the right outcomes for both the hosting organisation and the participants who are contributing their ideas and solutions to a problem. So here, we'll firstly look at this from an organiser's perspective, before moving on to discussing hackathons from a participant's point of view. We'll then move on to our view of hackathons at Axia Origin. Firstly, organisations need to consider how to run an effective competition, making a conscious effort to move out of their comfort zone in every aspect of the process.
It's really important that we get a diverse group of people with different skills and different experiences.
From an organisation's point of view, one of the questions we need to ask ourselves is, are we getting true diversity of thought? The power of open innovation comes from being able to reach the diversity of talent and thinking that is impossible to achieve within one organisation on its own. By being as open as possible, we uncover possibilities and knowledge that can make profound differences in how we view and solve the problems. The format of a hackathon can, ironically, make this difficult. Often people need to be in a single place at certain times, and that means that participants often come from a more localised area, reducing the ability to reach a more diverse crowd. We have also seen hosting organisations reaching out to their own network of suppliers to participate. This has the benefit of the organisation already understanding the company and potentially the problem that is to be solved. However, again, this can dramatically reduce the diversity of thinking in the room, which is really a prerequisite in enabling radically innovative ideas to form. It is crucial to think about who you invite or how you reach out to prospective participants. And this may mean that a hackathon is not the ideal format for your competition. Alternatives to this physical format exist, which circumvent some of these issues. For example, online competition platforms such as Kaggle can increase participation to levels that would be impossible for hackathons. Another question that we need to ask ourselves is, how do we actually bring ideas back into the organisation? It's easy to think of a hackathon as a standalone event, but it really needs to fit in with your whole innovation process, which the hackathon really sits in the middle of. Plans on how to bring in the innovative ideas need to be conceived ahead of time to ensure they're not just left on the shelf after. There needs to be a conscious effort and investment put in place to bring the idea into the organisation. The organisation must also consider ways for the idea to be taken to all parts of the business where resources can be dedicated to embedding it into everyday business processes. The definition of the business challenge is also important. When very broad challenges are set, solutions can range from ideas on a flip chart to a prototype mobile app. Whilst this creative diversity is brilliant to see, it can create huge challenges on how to assess the ideas to bring them back in, and even how to judge a winner. To help with this, set more specific challenges. Organisers can then understand ahead of time how to judge what is the best solution, how the solution will fit into BAU processes, and crucially, procurement channels can be well set up before the event to ensure that momentum is carried forward after the event itself. Now let's look at it from a participant's point of view.
But really my main complaint is that competing at hackathons negatively impacts your health. And for that reason, I'm out. Now with that said, hackathons can actually be kind of fun if you ignore their main purpose and don't compete.
Participants ought to be part of a diverse problem-solving crowd who are set up for success to deliver the promise on open innovation. A question a participant will ask themselves is it enough for me to want to take part? Having the right incentives is key for participation. Sometimes the draw of solving the problem at hand is enough. However, in many environments where people are investing their time, monetary or commercial incentives are often offered and actually required. Hackathons, which invite current and prospective suppliers, provide a great opportunity for participants to get to know the organisation better and build relationships that could lead to more collaborative work. However, careful consideration needs to be taken to ensure that suppliers are participating to solve the problem at hand and not just trying to sell their solutions. This prompts organisations to ask themselves, why do I want to run a hackathon? For supplier engagement, it can be great, but it may mean solving the problem becomes secondary. Hosting a hackathon for the wrong reasons serves to cheapen the pursuit of innovation and can lead to reputational harm. Another question we see from participants is, what happens now? The end of a hackathon always presents an exciting moment. To see different teams pitching their ideas and solutions should be really inspiring. However, this part of the process and beyond can easily become frustrating too. Broad or vague problem statements can mean that it's difficult for the organiser to bring in solutions. But for participants, this often entails vague guidelines for how solutions are judged and ultimately how winners are decided. This risks participants feeling their solutions aren't valued or understood. Similarly, as a participant, you want to see your brilliant work make a difference. If the follow-up and procurement processes aren't ready for something radical or are ill-prepared to bring in the new ideas, then ultimately the hackathon fails to deliver. But crucially, it also risks participants feeling frustrated and not willing to turn up to future events. Our view at Axia Origin: you need to make deliberate decisions in the type of open innovation used and adopt best practices to succeed.
It's really important for organizations and kind of business leaders in this area to really think through what it is they're trying to get out of open innovation and drawing upon the crowd. A hackathon is not necessarily the best way for an organization to land on a conclusive answer to a conclusive and specific problem.
Sometimes the reason for running hackathons can be somewhat lost. Are we really there to solve a problem? My experience of attending hackathons is that sometimes it feels like a marketing exercise rather than a session where something great is going to be created. There's nothing wrong with this, but it's important to consciously make this decision, as it means that businesses can decide the best practice way forward. Hacks can be brilliant, high-energy events that bring together diverse talent to solve interesting problems in a concentrated time frame. However, there are many pitfalls to running one, and often there are more efficient ways to achieve more. For example, running online competitions. Understanding best practice open innovation is key, ensuring you're making the most of the energy you and the crowd are putting into these innovation activities. If you're looking to run a hackathon and want to understand how to get the most from it, or understand what are the best practice open innovation alternatives, then please contact us to have a chat, either by commenting directly on this post or contact me at tim@axiaorigin.com. You can also find out more about open innovation, as well as other topics such as misinformation, in our insights library at axiaorigin.com.